Today on Black Twitter Talk, we are talking Marc Jacobs in his Faux Loc finale, Donald Trump on Jimmy Fallon, and Sandra Bland settlement. Stay tuned. Hey guys, this is Laurentia. Vibes. It's called Only One. She's one of my favorites. Check it out. I am your host, Angie Skates. You can find me on Twitter at Angie_Skates. I'm on the gram at Big_Ange.
Hey everybody, it's Kelly. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at The Urban Gypsy LA.
Let's get right into it. I feel like as Black women, we are always talking about our hair.
Literally.
Like, literally. It's always up for discussion, and we talk about it all the time on the show. And it's not like we want to talk about it. We just have to. Because Marc Jacobs said some things about Black women or women of color in their hair.
Yes.
Did you guys hear about that?
Yes, it was after his runway show in New York Fashion Week, right?
Yeah, so New York Fashion Week, he did a finale, and all of his models wore faux locks. People said that he didn't have any women of color in his show, but I actually did see some photos where he did have some.
I think he only had 2.
Oh. Well, anyway.
Just 2.
Well, yeah. So, and I don't even think that that's an issue, honestly. Like, I'm not mad at him for using women that don't actually have locks in his show. What I'm more concerned about is the comments that he made afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he posted something on Instagram, and some of his followers were saying, oh, they're disappointed in him because of the cultural appropriation. And this is what he said in response. And all who cry cultural appropriation or whatever nonsense about any race or skin color wearing their hair in a particular style or manner. Funny how you don't criticize women of color for straightening their hair. I respect and am inspired by people and how they look. I don't see color or race. I see people. I'm sorry to read that so many people are so narrow-minded. Love is the answer. Appreciation of all and inspiration from anywhere is a beautiful thing. Think about it.
Think about what, Marc? I think about it every day. I thought about it when I just was about to go on air, and I didn't like my hair today, okay, Marc? What are you talking about? I live this life.
I think it's interesting that he is saying that he's colorblind, but yet he's calling out women of color. We talking about Black women here. Let's not be, coy about it. We're talking about Black women straightening their hair, as if there are no Black women. Like, has he even? I don't even know. Has he ever been to Africa? But there are Black women
in Africa
that are born with straight hair. Like, white people do not have the monopoly on straight hair, Marc. Like, where are you getting your information?
And even with that, like, not white women, Asian women hair comes straight. Latino women hair is naturally straight. And even with women who have naturally straight hair, they usually add heat to it in order for it to be a certain look. So
I know
it's
white
no different
women
from
that straighten their hair every day.
Exactly. So it's like, what is the difference? And then for me, I felt the same way. Like, it's more so his response to it that was kind of like, okay, for real, because it's like, if you're gonna be inspired by all things inspired me or whatever he said, it's like, no, say what specifically inspired you. An African Caribbean hairstyle inspired you and you chose to use it because you thought it was beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that, but the fact that you don't want to give credit to where that look even came from.
That's exactly what cultural appropriation is.
Exactly.
It's like you take something that you like and you don't give credit to
where it came from, the source.
What was even more appalling to me is what his stylist said.
Oh, what is
he said Guido Palau. I'm sorry if I messed up your name, Guido. We're just gonna call you Guido P.
GP.
So this is what he said. He said certain type of cultures like rave culture, club culture, acid house, Boy George, and Maryland.
What about it?
They inspired the look. The interesting thing about Marc is how he takes something so street and so raw, and because of the coloration of the hair and the makeup, it becomes a total look. Something that we've bypassed on the street and not really looked at or seen a million times. He makes us look at it again in a much more sophisticated and fashionable way. That is the definition of cultural appropriation. We wear our hair the way that it grows out of our scalp, our froze, our locks. We're told that we're unprofessional. We're told that we're ugly. We're told that the African aesthetic is not the standard of beauty in this country or anywhere really globally. Black people are just like, that's not it. But when white people do it, oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Like, we literally are told we can't wear it to the workplace because it looks dirty and unkept. We're told all these negative things, and we're told in order to survive in this culture, you need to assimilate and straighten your hair, wear it a certain way. And then when you wear our natural styles, it's the new trend that so-and-so just discovered. And it's like, no, boo-boo, that's how we've been wearing it, how we would like to wear it, but you told us we couldn't.
Do you remember, he didn't say this for the last, I don't know if it was 2015 or 2016, but he had styled his models with Bantu knots. And I think
that was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh.
And then someone, I don't know if it was Vogue or Cosmopolitan or Marie Claire, they did a whole spread on him and said that they were inspired by Marc Jacobs mini buns.
Mini buns, and you got the boxer braids. Like, this is a continuing thing, and it gets annoying. And you know what? I realized, Marc, you don't see color because I saw your foundation palette line, and you have about 20 foundations, 50 shades of white, and then like 3 shades of color, like caramel, dark caramel, and a darker caramel.
Yeah, Twitter kept bringing that point up.
And then my other thing too is, like, if you're gonna do the locks or whatever, you should have more models of color. That was an opportunity to like really like do something different that is not done. And we all know that the fashion industry does not show love to women of color.
And I just want to say that there is a difference between assimilation and cultural appropriation. Sure. Black women straighten their hair, wear weaves, do this, that, and the other as a means of survival. It's a survival tactic. That's how we're able. Madam C.J. Walker came up with the press and comb because we needed that. So we can
blend in. Y'all said you need to blend in more. You're standing out. You look a certain way in order to not make us uncomfortable. You should wear your hair like this. That's assimilation. That's us surviving.
Yeah, and that's what we've done. That's what we continue to do. And a lot of people will argue the fact that women get hair weaves and they dye their hair, and it's not because they need to keep a job. It's because it's a beauty thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I don't always feel beautiful with my natural. I don't always I feel like part of the reason why I'm maybe dating challenged in LA is because I do wear my hair this way, and because I look a certain way, people automatically just look at me and say, oh, she's militant, oh, she's this, or she's that.
Please believe that the hair comes with specific connotations.
Like AFAM professor.
She just called me AFAM professor because of my little fro and my glasses. But that's for real. That's how it is. I've gotten not allowed into the club until a certain point because my hair is natural. But let me have in that long straight weave. It's no problem getting into the club.
It's crazy. I think what he fails to realize is that Black culture is popular. Black people are not. So when we see you doing things that are native to Black people, it's an issue when you don't give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, and we're going to keep having a problem with it, unfortunately. Like, it gets tiring to keep talking about it.
It does. But, Marc, forget you and your mini buns. And, I mean, and also, like, okay, colorful dreads. How you not going to shout out George Clinton? Like, what?
You don't know nothing about no George Clinton.
That's why you need to.
Real.
Anyway.
Can we talk about Teacher Bay?
Teacher Bay. Hashtag Teacher Bay.
Y'all probably tired of talking about her.
I know I am, but go ahead.
Well, this picture, somebody screenshot a picture of this young woman. I believe she's from Atlanta.
She's from Atlanta. Her name is Patrice Brown.
Oh, you got her whole name. Patrice Brown. Yeah, so her picture started circulating around the internet saying that she looked unprofessional. And so then there was this big debate on Twitter whether or not she was actually unprofessional or did she just appear to be unprofessional because she's curvy. And so we actually got into it with a couple of people on Twitter because of, honestly, I can't even say opposing views. It was just a different perspective, but I think we all agreed, which was weird. But anyway, if you guys can see the picture, if you saw the picture, it came up. She's fully covered. Like, there's not a lot of skin showing, but
for those of you that can't see it, she has on a form-fitting dress. It's really tight, and it's like nude.
It's like a blush color.
Yeah. And I feel like it just accentuates her body type, which is
she's voluptuous.
She's a good-looking woman.
She looks great, but for the classroom or any professional area or work environment is this discussion is that she looks unprofessional.
I do think that the dress is too tight, and not even just because she's a teacher in the classroom. If you are a professional in a workplace, I don't know about other women, but for me myself, I'm not selling sex. I don't want people looking at my butt or my breast when I'm in a meeting. I don't want my coworkers looking at me and sexually objectifying me. So I don't wear things that inspire that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, I'm curvy, and I know I have to be quiet. I have to be selective about what I wear, and I would never wear that regardless if I'm a teacher or anything else. Mind you, I like to look stylish when I go to work.
Oh yeah, we like looking cute.
Because I'm curvy, I can't shop for work clothes at like the local boutiques. Like, I can shop for club clothes there and going out and after hour happy hour clothes, but not work clothes because it's cheap.
She looked like she had on a Fashion Nova dress.
She does, and it's cute. We're not trying to knock her, but for work, that's not what you wear. And because it's a blush color, even if it's not see-through,
like you can
I feel like that type of stuff, you can see like your dimples. If you have them, maybe y'all don't have them. Y'all lucky. But and I would have definitely put on the blazer with that, or like a long cardigan.
I think the argument was that if she was a woman that didn't have as many curves, that it would be appropriate. But that's not the case. I disagree as well. I was in the office the other day, and there was this really thin woman, and she just happened to be white, and that doesn't even matter. But she was just really thin. Her body type was had a small frame, and she had on these really skin tight yellow pants, and I could see every nook and cranny, and I can even see the color of her panties, and I was offended.
That's way too much.
It's like, no.
And I feel like the discussion was as if black women are being discriminated against because we're naturally curvy, which we are, but I have a lot of friends that are not naturally curvy. They're very thin, petite frames, and they wouldn't wear that either. They might be able to get away with a certain dress that I couldn't wear, but if they wore it, they wouldn't wear a dress that's that tight, period. Like, that's not professional.
Yeah, and a lot of people brought up the discussion that teachers, specifically in their profession, are not allowed to have a certain level of private life. Like, they feel like everything is just policed in a way that other women in other professions aren't, and people were getting at me on Twitter for that, and it's just like, girl, bye. Like, if you think that I'm not policed in my office, in my workspace, in whatever I do because I'm not a teacher, you are mistaken. And she's in a classroom.
I was gonna say that,
but she's not teaching.
She ended up getting reprimanded for taking the pictures in class and for posting them online because she's actually still at work.
Yeah.
So then there's the discussion about the male teacher.
He kind of excited me a little bit. I don't know what his ad is. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
No.
But I think they said his name was Jamel. He looks unprofessional to me.
He's very unprofessional.
Like, he has on a t-shirt, a fitted cap, jeans.
All his tattoos are showing.
He look real good to me, but like in a classroom setting,
in the street, I'd be like, hey.
He's the one that's like, yeah, let me borrow your car, boo. Like, ooh, I said it.
He is, though, like driving around talking to other girls in your car.
Yeah, ooh, look at that beard. I'm just saying, he's real attractive, but to me, he looks unprofessional.
He is, and there's no difference from, because they're trying to just say, like, little boys ain't worried about nobody's body when they're that young. Like, that's a lie, and as a little girl, I would be kind of like, ooh, what is that? Like, we're all curious at that age. Let's keep it real.
And people like to paint the picture that men have higher sex drives than women, and even I feel like women develop a lot faster than men, young men anyway.
Yeah, I would have been trying to do extra credit in class.
If he was my fourth grade teacher, oh, hell yeah.
I would have been teacher's pet.
I mean, I was teacher pets to people that didn't even look as good as him. So, I mean, I don't think it's a double standard. I think he looks unprofessional. I think she could have put on a blazer or went a size up in the dress and maybe a different color.
Yeah, I mean, they showed other pictures that she looked cute to me,
she
like
did.
And still professional.
She did. I'm just glad that she has a job and she's cute and she really likes her teacher.
That was the other thing they were saying.
Likes teaching.
People were saying that we're discussing her outfit and circulating this, but let's circulate what's really going on with the education system. Let's circulate the fact that there's not a lot of good teachers out there, that they're not getting paid well, or they're cutting programs and the funding. So we're gonna put all this energy towards what she's wearing, but the real issue is the education system, and I thought that was a good point.
It is. But teacher babe, put on a blazer. That's just my 2 cents.
Wear a cardigan.
Well,
or if you're gonna wear that, at least wear it in black, baby girl.
Or get it from Nordstrom's. It has a little bit more material.
Thicker
Nordstrom's
material with
wrapped
some
out.
lining.
Yeah, don't do Fashion
Get
Nova.
it for low.
Yeah. So Jimmy Fallon interviews Donald Trump on his show. And the public was not really happy about their interaction. And it's not unlikely for a presidential candidate to do a late night show like that. But they're saying that Jimmy Fallon didn't ask him any questions, really. And he's a comedian. He's not a journalist. But they're saying that he humanized Trump in a way that is comparable to, let's say, Hitler. Let's say, for instance, we go back in time and Hitler was on the show, because they're comparing Trump to Hitler based on his ideologies and the things that, he says. Like, what if Hitler was on his couch? Would you tickle his mustache? Like, no, I don't think he would. But a lot of people are saying that it's dangerous, that interaction that happened.
I think to say that he's not a journalist is a cop-out, because most comedians usually, well, not most, but the really good comedians, they use their platform and they're able to tackle political issues like Dick
David
Gregory,
Letterman,
Bill Maher, Richard Pryor, like people, like comedians, they have a history of tackling political issues. Political issues. So I feel like you're being lazy, and you probably don't want to tackle it because you might just agree with something he's saying.
I feel like he's not affected by all of the xenophobia and the bigoted and the racist things that he says, because he's a wealthy white man.
Yeah, he's good either way it goes.
Yeah, so it's not really anything to him. But I thought what was interesting is the song that the Roots played. Jimmy Fallon's band is the Roots, and one of the most controversial political rappers, Black Thought, is a part of that band. And what they played when he was coming out was a snippet of Erykah Badu's 20 Feet Tall. And it was the part where she talked specifically about a 20-foot wall, how they built a wall so she couldn't see. And I thought that was funny. That was just like a jab at him, because
he wants to build a wall.
Yeah, because Jimmy didn't get at him.
And I thought that was good, because they did that before on another show. Like they played
I think
something.
Michelle Bachmann was on the show.
Yeah, and they played something that was overtly like directed at her, and they like threatened to take their job. So this time they were more subtle with the attack. Like, oh no, we see you, and anybody who's aware and conscious, they get it too.
They played the song "Lying As."
Okay, yeah. Very obvious.
Oh, yeah. They didn't hold anything back for that. But I think Jimmy Fallon can do better. I think the media in general has given Trump all of his power, period. And if you're going to criticize Jimmy Fallon, then you have to criticize the mainstream media as a whole.
Girl, I seen today on Twitter, I'm assuming they're at a Trump rally, just because I don't know where else it was, but it was a short clip, and this woman's like holding a sign saying no to racist or no to racism or something. And so then there's this older white couple like trying to take the sign from her. Everybody in this video is white. So there's this older white couple trying to snatch it, like just keep snatching it. And then these other white men come up in front of her and try to cover the sign with an American flag. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
And it was like, oh my gosh, this is just one of those crazy things, you know.
I try not to give too much power to Trump, but apparently he has a lot more traction than intelligent, socially, politically aware people like to believe.
Because the media is a powerful thing, period, point blank.
I think all of the presidential candidates that have had the media's attention in recent election cycles have won, and for this election cycle
works. Even when the radio was introduced, like that changed the way, the
fireside chat.
Exactly. Then we have the television, and every time the media has a huge effect on who we end up voting for.
Yeah. Don't vote for Trump though. In other news, Sandra Bland's family, they received a $1.9 million settlement, and I think that the fight is far from over. And Sandra Bland's mother, Geneva Reed, even said that this was not about money. I love Geneva Reed. She reminds me of my auntie. This particular settlement was historical, because not only was the monetary compensation is going to be paid out, but one thing that is a stipulation in the settlement is policy change within the Waller County, Texas prison. They are going to incorporate de-escalation training. They're going to have emergency nurses in the jails that are available. They're going to have improved booking procedures. There's a lot of procedural things that go along with the settlement, and that's unheard of in any other settlement case. Like, for instance, the Laquan McDonald in Chicago, they received a $5 million payout, but there was no change in procedure. And I really admire the fact that Geneva is pushing for these kinds of policy changes, and I think that is exactly what we need.
Right, because you said since Sandra Bland was killed, how many people were killed?
800 people. That was just last year. There have been 800 people that have died in jail since Sandra Bland's death. Most of them have been preventable. A third of the deaths occurred within 3 days of them being arrested, and a third of them have been labeled so-called suicides. Like, that's just utterly ridiculous to me. It makes no sense.
Agreed. It's good, but then just the dollar amount, it just makes you think like, okay, but her life was priceless. It's like no amount of money is gonna take away the hurt that the family and friends and the community have felt.
You know what would make me feel a little better is if somebody actually took responsibility for her death.
Right.
Like, how come we're paying out all this money to these people for these
arresting whoever
who killed them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you find yourself at fault enough to pay out $1.9 million or $5 million in this case, in the other case, then why can't
somebody should be held accountable?
Point blank in the period. I'm so sick of this. But speaking of prisons, I bet y'all didn't hear that we are currently experiencing one of the largest prison strikes in U.S. history.
We sure are.
Mainstream media has a blackout on this. It started September 9th, it's an anniversary for one of the largest prison uprisings in Attica back in 1971 when George Jackson was murdered. He was a political prisoner that was associated with the Black Panther Party and Angela Davis and everyone else. But that's beside the point. This strike has been going on for 2 weeks. I think the main prison is in Alabama, but there's like 50 prisons statewide. And nobody's talking about it.
No, we haven't. New York Times, Washington Post, NBC News, MSNBC, Fox News, none of them have covered it. NPR, they haven't covered it, and it's going on 2 weeks.
It's in Alabama, prisons in California, Virginia, Ohio, Florida.
And the amount they said is unprecedented. Like
20,000 prisoners are on strike right now.
And the prisons are not reporting it, though. They don't want the news to cover it, so they're not even being truthful about it. Like, there are news outlets that have been asking about it and what's going on, and they have not been truthful.
They're saying, it was a little riot, but it's been calmed now. It's over, and that's not the case. What's happening is the protest is taking on different shapes. In some prisons, they're doing hunger strikes. But in most prisons, what's happening is they're tired of the slave labor. They're working for private companies in these prisons, getting paid cents every hour. It's slave labor, and they're tired of it. They've had enough, so they're not reporting to work. And these are 20,000 prisoners across 50 different prisons across the country. One of the biggest strikes, and nobody is talking about it.
So they said that one of the reasons possibly is that a lot of corporate media's biggest advertisers use prison labor. So, for example, you have AT&T, Bank of America, Chevron, Geico, McDonald's, Walmart, like all of Verizon, Yahoo, Huffington Post, like all of these people are connected to prison labor, and that's why they're not reporting it, because they want them to go. Yeah, they need them to go back to work for them for free. And it's important that those of us outside support this and shed light on it, because otherwise it's going to fall on deaf ears.
And I have chills just thinking about it. I know a couple of people that are doing life sentences, and it's just
and they're basically been trying to target the people who are leading the rebellion or the strike, and like putting them in solitary confinement and all those things, because they're using mobile phones in there. They're trying to take away their phones and do all these things. They've relocated some of them to other prisons so that they're not able to do the work that they had planned to do.
And apparently the prisoners have been organizing this for months on end through social media platforms, and they call it contraband in prison, but cell phones, and even with the help of people on the outside. So I encourage you to read more about it, to write more about it, to talk more about it. So
Yeah, because
that
I haven't even seen a lot of coverage of this on Twitter.
On Twitter, I've seen some. That's how I heard about it, but not a lot. I think we need to talk about this more. Like, if you can draw the lines of your oppression to capitalism and also to the prison industrial complex, you can see how important that this is. And this is a quintessential part of the revolution. So y'all need to listen up and pay attention. Speaking of revolution, y'all, another young man, young boy, he's a little boy. Tyree King was murdered in Columbus, Ohio. He was shot dead by Columbus police. And he was 13 years old, shot multiple times. And there's a lot of narrative around it that is, it's not consistent because, one, the police were not wearing the body cams or they weren't on. Two, he's dead. So we don't really know what happened. Apparently, they were questioning suspects for a robbery case. And he fled. There are some conflicting reports that says he pointed a BB gun at them, but again, Ohio is an open carry state. And if you can de-escalate Dylan Roof, who killed 9 people in South Carolina, and take him alive, then what in the entire hell is going on? Like, you know what
Seriously. I listened to the police call, and it's interesting because the call was made saying that somebody robbed this man. They took $10, but it wasn't the actual man that got robbed that made the call. It was a bystander. And then the man gets on the phone. He is a white man. He gets on the phone, and it sounded like he didn't even want to deal with it. He was saying it was only $10. I'm not really tripping off of it. That these other people are, but I can hear in his voice it was almost like, I don't even want you guys to go after him because I kind of know what could happen. Like, that was the tone I picked up. Like, you know what? Like, I mean, they're pressing it, but I'm not really tripping. It was only $10.
It's crazy to me. And also the fact that I don't know. It's an open carry state. Oh, okay. So there were 2 people that they were chasing as suspects for this, and they killed one of them. The other one that they let go. Like, if they let him go, like, and we don't have an accurate account. How many times have we heard the police narrative around the shooting of our young black men and women?
100 times.
It changes 100 times, and then when we get the video footage of it, it's not accurate. It doesn't match up. It doesn't line up. So I'm just so curious as to why people are so pressed to believe every single thing that comes out of the police.
Something I read said he looked like he was older.
He's
How much
13.
older? He's 13.
He's 13 years old. He's a little boy. And the same people that are calling him a young man are the same people that call Ryan Lochte's grown ass a kid. Like, it makes no sense.
It really does.
I'm so sick of it. On a lighter note. Spike Lee, y'all. One of my favorite films. I remember watching this film. I still lived at my mama's house at the time. Oh, She's Gotta Have It. So Spike Lee inked a deal, and this film is like 30 years old now.
Is it that old?
It's that old.
Sheesh.
We get it old, y'all. He did this film in the 80s, I think on a $175,000 budget, and it grossed like over $8 million.
Wow.
He inked a deal with Netflix, and his wife is going to be one of the executive producers on it. She's the one that had the vision for this whole project. But they're doing 10 episodes. They're going to do a reprisal of this film in a sitcom for Netflix, and I'm so excited about it. Like, Nola Darling, y'all.
Nola Darling.
I remember watching this film in my mama's house, just thinking like, holy crap, I've never seen a female character like this.
Yes.
Like, have multiple sexual partners at the same time. Like, not like at the same time, but like, you know, she's dating several different people. She has
very comfortable in her sexuality,
has a healthy appetite for sex and just sexual relationships, intimate relationships. And I feel like this is something that we push on young men, but we frown upon it when young women do it.
But the way that she does it is still very classy, very feminine, and like very empowering, because it's like she's just not trying to be tied down to any one man, but it's not in a raunchy, hoish way, you know what I mean?
You know, like, how Spike Lee get down. It's very artistic.
Yeah, and very real. Like, and then she's natural, beautiful, black, brown woman. Like, it's a really great story. I'm excited to see how it's gonna look on a series format.
I'm really excited. I just want to know who's gonna play Mars Blackman, though.
I want to know who's playing everybody.
Like, I don't know. Like, Spike Lee is Morris Blackman to me. Like, yeah, who's gonna do
he
that?
He can't play him.
Clearly, he too old.
I'm sure there's somebody, little pipsqueak out there that could play him.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this project, and I'm really happy with Netflix and the diversity that they, have stepped up on their platform.
Yeah, they don't just pigeonhole and do only one type of genre, or like they kind of expansive in the type of stories that they cover.
Yeah, it's so diverse, and I'm really looking forward to it. Nola Darling, oh my God, I can't wait. Spike, you better do well. I know you will. But that is our show today, you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week. I'm Angie. You can find me on Twitter at Angie_skates and on the gram at Big_Ange.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at The Urban Gypsy LA.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Christie, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live. Sipping, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.